Hey everybody, I want to give an overview of problem number 10 in your chapter 1 homework and part B. Part B, but then also there's like a part C and a part D. And what we're doing here is we are putting together the financial statements for the end of the month, okay? That's ultimately what we're going to do. Now, in order to understand what that means, we need to understand, well, what are the financial statements, right? We haven't touched on that in class yet. So I want to explain a little bit here on the screen and just give you some tools that you can use to do this problem on your own at home. We will discuss this in class as well. Okay, the first thing to note is that I have already, you can see on the screen, I have solved for part A, okay? And now what I have is I have the ending balances, this last row here, as of August 31st, okay, for this company. Now, I want to come down and I'm asked to prepare an income statement for August. And as you can see, we're given these various boxes. You got some that are drop down and then some that are inputs. Well, the first thing to note is that you should be accessing your textbook to solve this problem. And I'm going to let you know that eTextbook 2, and let me just show you, there's a kind of a link area below the problem that you can kind of expand. And if you go to eTextbook 2, it will open up a window to your eText, and it will tell you about this income statement that you need to prepare. So my expectation is that you are using your textbook and referring to your textbook in order to solve this problem. Flipping back to the problem, I'm going to just make note that this is the income statement that we're looking at. It's all blanks. Your only work here is to figure out how to layer the data in. And the data, you've already done most of the hard work by figuring out those 8 financial facts from above, and then figuring out kind of where the balances fit into which accounts, and then how to sum total it below to get to your August 31st balances. So as an example, what do I put up here at the very top? Revenues, if you notice, look at the income, how the income statement is laid out here. Revenues is always first, and then we do expenses next, and then we sum total to a net income. So if I were to come back here, I'd be doing something like this. Revenues, and then this is going to be expense. And then I need to go back to the table above and say, well, what kind of revenue did I have? Is it a particular name of revenue? You can go back to your worksheet above, but I also want to call your attention to this list of accounts, because this is the list of the accounts that we need to use for the income statement. Now, if you notice, we have rent revenue, we have service revenue, and we will see how companies can have different types of revenue. In the problem above, I believe it was service revenue that we had that the lawyer earned in the month. So we would put in here service revenue. And then I don't remember exactly how much, so I'm going to go back to my table up here, my worksheet, and I'm going to find revenue. And I have 8,800 in this particular problem. Your numbers might be different. So I've got 8,800 and I'm done with revenue. And now I need to come down and I need to layer in my expenses. Now a note, in the problem above, you kind of combined all of your expenses into one sum total. But in parts B and onward, and part B really is really the only place you're going to have to do it, you need to break out your various expenses, which means go back to the starting facts. So for instance, I think it was in fact number 5, we had paid salaries of 1,900, rent for 1,200, etc. Well, if you come down here, you'll notice we do have, for instance, a salaries and wage expense. So there's some inferences you need to make. You need to connect some dots here in terms of what the facts that you've read above, the accounts that you would use down below, and then in putting this together, you would come in and you would do something like this, salaries, and I think it should help you pop up with some, let's see, salaries, and there we go. It gets some IntelliSense, it comes up, and then put in the right number, again, from above. Your expenses should be negative, okay? I believe that's the way this works, and we can test that out right here. And my my salaries expense from up above was 1,900, and I would do this, okay? And then you continue. Take your time with this. You have the submit answer button so that you can check your work along the way. The software will flag if you have gotten anything incorrect so that you can know to fix it. If you put in a number and it's a positive, but it should be a negative, just remember that is one potential reason why you might have a red box. Make sure your numbers are correct. This is highly detailed work, so you need to make sure each number is correct, and make sure that you're using these account names in the list below. A business is going to have an explicit, meaning a very specific list of accounts, and we want to be consistent. So all of that detail is going to factor into this problem. After you do your income statement, you're going to have to do a statement of owner's equity and also a balance sheet. It's going to be a similar exercise of referring back to your text and using the text as a guideline for the layout. Keep in touch with questions, and I'm happy to answer them. And hopefully this is helpful for those of you who want to work ahead. Thank you.